The BMW M3 is a legend in the automotive world. Great steering, rear-wheel drive, an engaging powertrain, and fast acceleration have been the recipes for success since the original M3 back in 1986. Since then, there have been 5 generations of BMW M3, from the E30 all the way up to the F80. And every single one of those generations has their cult followings that'll tell you exactly why their generation is the best. Choosing the best M3 is like picking a favorite child or your favorite parent. You're guaranteed to get yelled at. That's exactly what we're doing today, putting 2 of BMW's finest head to head. On either side of me are the 2 most recent generations of BMW M3. To this side, we have a 2018 BMW M3 CS dubbed the F80 generation in beautiful frozen dark blue. And over here, we have the E92 M3 in beautiful frozen white. Now, most notably, one of the biggest differences between the two is the fact that the F80 has 4 doors and the E92 has only 2. That's because BMW in 2014 made the controversial decision to dub the 2-door version of the M3 the M4. But before we delve into all of the differences between the 2 models and how they differ in terms of the driving experience, I've got to give a special shout out to the sponsor of today's video, Dollar Shave Club. I shave my neck every single day because otherwise I look like a woodland creature. Shaving your neck every day means going through tons of razors, which meant before finding Dollar Shave Club, it was very, very expensive. The good news is Dollar Shave Club has you covered for all of your grooming needs: shower, oral care, deodorants, and of course, most importantly, shaving. I signed up for Dollar Shave Club over 2 years ago and have loved it ever since. Their amazing starter set comes with their executive weighty handle, 6 high-quality blades, and a 3-ounce bottle of their Dr. Carver's shave butter. This stuff actually prevents razor bumps, which I love. For a limited time, new members are going to get the executive razor and Dr. Carver's shave butter for just $5. After that, restock boxes ship regular size products at regular prices. Seriously guys, it's going to save you a ton of money, and Dollar Shave Club is super legit. So go to dollarshaveclub.com/VV to get your starter set for just $5, or click the link in the description below. Let's get on to the video. The E92 M3 was my dream car in high school. It looks incredibly good, sounds amazing, and is wonderful to drive. Produced from 2007 to 2013, its stance is mean, the front bumper is aggressive, and it's the best sounding M3 ever made. That's because under the bulging hood lies a 4-liter naturally aspirated V8 that revs to a glorious 8,400 RPM. The engine produces 414 horsepower and 295 pound-feet of torque, and is capable of pushing the E92 M3 to 60 miles an hour in just 4.3 seconds. Listen to how glorious this engine sounds. This M3 was equipped with the competition package, which gives it 19-inch competition wheels that look fantastic, also lowers the ride height by 0.4 inches for better handling. We've got retuned dampers as well as a remapped stability control to be better on the track. This also happens to be a frozen white edition, one of just 150 in the United States. All right, let's take it for a spin. The interior of the E92 M3 is lovely. It's simple and driver-focused. There's not a ton going on, yet it's luxurious and comfortable at the same time. It's draped in leather everywhere. There's these nice carbon fiber accents and little chrome trim pieces. The seats are unbelievably comfortable. They're soft, yet supportive with these big bolsters all at the same time. In front of me is an analog tack and speedo with beautiful font and colors. It's also surrounded by this nice aluminum bezel that looks good. Also ahead of me is one of the best steering wheels ever created. It's meaty, it's thick, it feels great in your hands, and that was one of the most awkward things I've ever said on vehicle versions. But it is true about this steering wheel. Behind the wheel are 2 paddles at 9 and 3. That's because this car has a double clutch transmission. There was 2 transmissions available for the E92 M3, a 6-speed manual or the double clutch. While the DCT shifts very fast, I'd personally go with a manual. Side note, the M3 CS only comes with a double clutch transmission. All right, let's take it out on the road. Oh, listen to that. Oh, that downshift. The E92 M3 has one of the best sounding engines of all time. I think this has got to be the best sounding BMW ever created. Holy moly. And it absolutely loves to be revved up to that 8,400 RPM red line. It doesn't make a lot of torque at 295 pound-feet of torque, and most of the power, you feel it towards the upper end of the RPM range. The happy zone for this car is between 5,500 and 8,400 RPMs. That is such a sweet spot. The power comes on in such a linear, smooth fashion. This thing is just an absolute joy to drive. The double clutch transmission upshifts very, very quickly. It gives you this kind of kick in the back and shoves you forward, almost like it's getting an extra boost in power. Downshifts are quick, but definitely slower than what we're used to by today's standards. But honestly, the second you hear what that downshift sounds like, you don't care whatsoever. Oh my gosh, the steering is heavy, it's direct, it feels great. The chassis is so balanced, it's smooth over bumps, yet has virtually no body roll around corners. This is such a confidence-inspiring platform to where even if you're not the most skilled driver in the world, it makes you feel like a pro. Oh man. Right now we're in MDM mode, which reduces traction control a little bit, so the car's chirping the tire in between shifts. Unfortunately, I'm stuck behind some traffic here. It's not the fastest car in the world in a straight line, but it handles so well. Oh man, and sounds so good. Holy moly, I love this car. Oh, high school me would be so jealous right now. The steering weight is nice and heavy, it's direct, it's communicative. The suspension rides so well over bumps. This is such a nice car to just cruise around in, yet at the same time there's virtually no body roll. It's so easy to drive quickly, and it's just fun. Oh my God, this is an engaging car to drive. View over the hood is really unique as well. We have that massive power dome on the hood. It's actually more than just cosmetics. They needed that bump in the hood to fit that massive V8 inside of the engine bay. But you get to see that power dome and the two vents on the side as you peer out through the front window. Ah, such a sweet driving position. The E92 is an absolute dream to drive. Its cornering ability is unbelievable, and the level of confidence that it gives the driver behind the wheel is truly amazing. So I'm gonna switch to a point of view camera now to let you hear this in all its glory and really experience from behind the driver's seat what time to take a look at the F80 M3. Built from 2015 to 2018, this is BMW's most current M3 model. This one in particular is actually an M3 CS. The CS means it's lighter weight, it's more powerful and more rare than a normal BMW M3. It was only made in 2018. They only made 1,200 of them, less than half of which ended up in the States. It's 110 pounds lighter than a standard M3 thanks to a carbon fiber roof. The entire hood is made of carbon fiber reinforced plastic and various other lightweight components. Under the hood of the M3 CS is a 3-liter twin turbocharged inline-6 that makes 453 horsepower and 443 pound-feet of torque. That's 148 pound-feet of torque more than the E92 M3, which makes an enormous difference in terms of the way these two cars drive. The new M3 is way faster in a straight line, from a dig or from a roll, no matter how you put it, and the power is delivered a lot earlier in the rev range because of the turbochargers. It's able to do 0 to 60 in 3.7 seconds. That's a full half second quicker than the E92. It ticks a quarter mile in just 11.9 seconds, once again a full half second quicker. The engine, however, sounds, well, I'll let you listen to it and you can be the judge. Looks-wise, the F80 has the E92 beat. The wide, meaty fender flares and sharp lines are absolutely to die for. The CS comes with its bespoke own set of dark gray wheels that are actually designed to look like a DTM race car. These are some of the best wheels to ever be fitted on any BMW. And the outside is completely covered in carbon fiber everywhere. Carbon fiber front splitter, carbon fiber mirrors, carbon fiber roof, rear diffuser, trunk lid spoiler. It honestly looks like an extremely tastefully modified M3 straight from the factory, and I love it. The inside of the F80 M3 CS is light years ahead of the E92. For the CS, we get this custom two-tone interior that looks fantastic. There's Alcantara on the steering wheel, little Alcantara accents on the dash with a CS logo. It feels high quality, it feels premium, and it feels like you're inside something special, which you are. The infotainment screen looks a lot nicer in the F80 than that dual hump design in the E92. Interestingly enough, we still have a predominantly analog tach and speedo, which is nice in a world of fully digital instrument clusters. As I said before, the only transmission available is a 7-speed DCT, so we've got paddles mounted behind the steering wheel. They're a little thinner, but the responsiveness is much better than the E92. We've also got 2 red buttons on the steering wheel so you can customize your drive mode setup. Perhaps the first one, M1, is a full comfort setting for the suspension and the steering and the transmission for commuting around town. And M2, maybe Sport Plus everything with traction control off for hooning in the back roads. Let's take it out on the road, shall we? Driving the F80 now, and it is way faster than the E92. The power delivery is so different between the two cars. We've got gobbles of torque down in the 3.5 to 4,000 RPM range that we just do not have in that E92, which means powering out of corner exits if you're in the wrong gear or passing doesn't require you to drop down a ton of gears. And as soon as that boost builds, the car surges forward really quickly. It doesn't have that linear feel that the E92 does. You definitely feel when those turbos spool up and you're surged forward with pretty ridiculous speeds, to be honest. And this car is stock. We'll talk a little bit more later about how easy these things are to modify. The chassis of the F80 is phenomenal. For a new modern day car, it actually has a good amount of feedback through the suspension, so you can feel what's going on the road. The steering is nice and stiff. It's got a good weight to it. And this car feels so much more nimble and ready to attack corners and change directions than the E92 does. Interestingly, when you put it in Sport Plus mode for the steering, the car's responsiveness is so quick, it almost feels twitchy. So I prefer driving with the steering in Sport mode, but man, this car handles well. The brakes are also way better than the E92. Slow the car down really well. Because we have all that extra torque, it's a lot tail happier than the E92 as well. If you put the car in MDM mode, M dynamic mode, which I'm in right now, it loosens up traction control a little bit so you can get the rear end to slide out without fearing that you're gonna spin all the way around or crash and fly off the cliff. With traction control all the way off, this car likes to spin the tires like nobody's business. The transmission is a lot more responsive with downshifts than the E92. It doesn't quite have that shunt in your back on upshifts that I actually really like about the last generation car, but transmission response is fantastic, as is throttle response. The steering feels great. Oh man, this is a good car to drive. I do have one major complaint about the F80 Generation M3, however, and that has to do with the way it sounds. Despite the fact that it comes standard with an M Sports exhaust, no amount of exhaust trickery is going to make up for the lackluster engine sound. While that V8 in the E92 is absolutely glorious, there's actually not much satisfying whatsoever about the way that the F80 M3 sounds. It's a bit thin when you're on the gas, and then when you let off the gas, it releases these sounds that sound more like a fart than it does a pleasurable exhaust note. And unfortunately, a huge part of the driving experience is what the car sounds like. And unfortunately, this recent generation of M3 as well as the M2 competition just don't have an appealing sound. Now, on the flip side, because this car is forced induction, because it's twin turbocharged, it's unbelievably easy to modify. With downpipes and a tune, people are seeing 550 to 600 plus horsepower at the wheels in their F80 M3s. In fact, my friend has one that has easily taken down a stock Huracan or a Ferrari 458, which is unbelievably impressive for a BMW M3, and downpipes and a tune aren't all that expensive considering the price of this car. So if you're looking for something that's easy to modify, that's incredibly fast in a straight line after a tune, the F80 is definitely the way to go. But for me, that exhaust note really hinders the driving experience, which is a bummer because it's such a great car. The steering, the chassis, the brakes, the dynamics, it feels great. I wish I could just wear headphones and blast sounds of E92 M3s instead. Then I think I'd be fully head over heels in love with this car. So with that, I'm gonna put the point of view camera on now to show you what the car is like to drive from the driver's seat and let you listen to that interesting sounding exhaust. Both of the M3s are fantastic. The E92 sounds incredible and the F80 is unbelievably fast. However, given the choice, I would take the E92 M3. The driving experience with that naturally aspirated high-revving V8 is unparalleled. And the amazing part is because it's a generation old, it's already basically fully depreciated, meaning you can get a clean condition E92, not necessarily a low mileage frozen white like this one, for between $20,000 and $30,000. A CS will cost you 3 times that, even if it's used. That being said, they're both fantastic cars with different strengths and weaknesses, and I had an absolute blast driving both. I hope you guys enjoyed this review. Like always, please browse the channel and subscribe. Leave a comment in the comment section below letting me know which one of these is your favorite and why. I look forward to seeing you guys next video.